Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'd like to chat with you about some low-tech options or fairly low-tech options regarding social engineering techniques. I also want to point out that, of course, we would never want to do these in an aggressive or illegal way against anybody. So let's start off with the probably lowest tech option, and that is dumpster diving. It is exactly what it sounds like. We're going into somebody's trash, somebody's garbage, and we're trying to get information from what they've thrown away. Now, hopefully, most companies have a information disposal process regarding hard drives, regarding paper, regarding CD products and thumb drives and so forth, so that anything that is no longer needed has been properly managed and destroyed so it can't be useful to somebody else. But dumpster diving is a real thing. So if somebody's dumping out, reams of paper that they no longer need, or even in recycle, it doesn't matter. If it's not protected and guarded and somebody can get at that and get that data, we've just had our data compromised from dumpster diving. Now, another option that can be used to help gain information that otherwise we shouldn't have is called shoulder surfing. Imagine that that we're on our computer and we're working away and we're putting in a password, and somebody is behind us looking over our shoulder, looking at the passwords that are involved. And that's an example of shoulder surfing. Now, one of the solutions to that, and a really good solution to a lot of things, is to use multi-factor authentication. So if we're requiring users when they log in to put in a password or something they know, and also something they have, like a 6 or 7 character number generated by a key fob as a one-time password, that's fantastic. And that way, even if somebody does see what our password is, or even the one-time password from our token generator, they're not going to be able to successfully authenticate as us because they need to have both of those pieces of information at the time of login. Another low-budget type of compromise would be tailgating. Tailgating may bring up images for some people about going to a sporting event or something else and hanging out in the back of a truck and, doing some barbecue and having some fun hanging out. But tailgating in the concept of social engineering is tricking somebody else to allow you to go in, or the attacker to go in on somebody else's credentials. So if people are out for a smoke break or a breathing break or whatever they're doing, and the attacker, who's maybe dressed like everybody else, joins that crowd and they're all going back in together, if the policy is you need to badge in one person at a time, we need to enforce that. And that's going to help prevent piggybacking or tailgating and preventing an unauthorized individual from getting into the facility. Another social engineering technique is typo squatting. Typo squatting, what's that? Well, this happened to me like 2 days ago. I was going through some PowerPoint videos and brushing up my skills with PowerPoint. And I like to spend a few hours every week in learning something new or getting better at something. So this week was PowerPoint. In any event, he had an example of a website where you could go and get color palettes or color schemes that go together and their numbers. So I went there. He told me what it was. He showed me what it was. I went in there and I did a typo. I had one less character than what was required. And I got to some weird site. I thought, what's this? Why is he advertising this? And I then realized, oh yeah, this is not a trusted site. Somebody had bought the domain that matched the domain I was trying to go to, minus that one character. And as a result of me hitting that, I then went to DNS, who pointed me to that IP address, and then my computer went to that website. So here's a few protections against typo squatting. If you're going to a site that you have all the time, you can include that in your password manager and then just boom, go to it directly without having to type it in. Or you could do a Google search, or whatever your favorite search engine is, and do a search for it and then go to the official site in the listing, because that's very likely to have been vetted. Or you could use a DNS service like Umbrella, that's Cisco's purchase of OpenDNS, which can help identify malicious sites and prevent the client from ever getting a correct name resolution from going to those sites in the first place. So I've added this to the low budget options for social engineering techniques because virtually anybody can take a popular website and then just change one character, register that as their own, put up a website, and hopefully trick a few people out of millions that go to the real website to go to yours or go to the attacker's website, where they can further be compromised with credential harvesting or whatever the attacker hopes to inflict on them from whatever's at that site that they're hitting. And unfortunately for the victims of social engineering attacks, which are leveraging social engineering techniques, it's quite easy to manipulate some people. Like, for example, think about social media. If we're posting on our favorite social media platform, if somebody is following an individual on social media and then they start replying, including prepending, maybe they're replying but also prepending the message that the victim had originally. So if somebody's doing that for like weeks or months or years and responding and remessaging with the original message in place, which is referred to as prepending, or prepending the message we're putting in with the original message, that builds trust, helps with credibility, and that also lends itself to being more vulnerable for the victim to a social engineering attack. So in the next video, let's do this. Let's take a look at why social engineering attacks work, and having that understanding is going to help us better prepare, protect, and train our end users to protect themselves against social engineering attacks. So I'll see you in the next video in just a moment. Meanwhile, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.